For my prelim task, I created a student magazine for my school using Photoshop. This was my first time using Photoshop, therefore I didn't have much knowledge of the different critical components of the software. This student magazine cover, as well as my other pieces of coursework, were all created on my MacBook Air, where I downloaded Photoshop and worked in lessons and in my own time. I started off by taking pictures with my iPhone camera of my peers doing work. This was done during lesson time, so everyone was available to take photographs. Since the photographs used natural lighting, no artificial lighting hardware needed to be used as lighting was already up to standard. After doing this, I looked at the photographs I took, chose the best candidates for the student magazine cover, and thought of cover lines that could go along with them. I used the circle crop tool to crop two of my sub-images into circular shapes, which I think created diversity in my student magazine cover in terms of shapes. I kept the main image as it was. I tried to search for bold sans serif fonts that could be used in my cover, which gave the cover a modern look. After downloading the font I needed, I used the text tool to create text for the masthead, DBI Times, the font being called Arial Black. For the main cover line, I used a different font that was slightly thinner than the masthead from the font library in Photoshop. This was called DIN Condensed. For the rest of the smaller cover lines that went with the sub-images, I used a normal sans serif font, Helvetica Neue, also from Photoshop's library of fonts. I used the rectangular tool to create rectangles that could be placed behind the text to make sure that the color of the text did not blend in with any of the images, where I also used the color tool to change its color to blue. I also created a longer rectangle to act as the banner at the bottom of the cover page, this being a darker blue color. I found the DBI's school logo on Google Images and incorporated it into the cover by placing it in the top right corner. I did the same with the barcode and placed it on top of the banner in the bottom left corner. I finally changed the background layer to a light blue color to complement the other DBIS colors. I did this by double-clicking on the layer and giving it a color overlay. For my foundation portfolio, I was asked to create a magazine cover, article page, and contents page. These could have been for any genre of magazine, so I decided to choose a film magazine. I started on the magazine cover page first. I first searched for a font on DaFont, and I picked the font Azanix for my masthead because I feel like it looked very futuristic and modern, which I think matches most film magazine layouts. I increased the font by 148 so it would be bigger than the other text on the screen. Other than the font I used for the masthead, I also used a range of other fonts from the online software DaFont, which had many different options that I could use. I continue to use this software in future Photoshop creations. This includes SF Hollywood Hills for the main cover line, which resembles the famous Hollywood sign in LA. A font that I found to be the most stood out font is the Michael. To create this neon sign effect, I chose a font called Charlotte from DaFont, a cursive signature font. I then changed the color to white, then gave the photo an outer red glow using the effect's outer glow. I often use the circle tool to create circular shapes. For example, for my poll, I put the text on a circular white shape to give it more attention for it to attract consumers to read or buy the product. I also used the circle tool to create a circle to put behind the sub-image, so it could again be emphasized like the poll. Using the same shape tool, I also made a rectangle to put under one of the subcover lines, and to make a banner where there's more short text. I used the text tool to create 4 titles and 5 small boxes of text, which are my subcover lines. They shift towards the left of my magazine cover. The title is slightly larger than the text, so I just increased the size and used a line tool to create lines between each subcover line to separate them. I also used this tool to create the barcode for the magazine. As for my images, I used a camera and tripod to take them. I used an ordinary lamp that I had on hand as my form of lighting for my main cover page, and no form of lighting for my sub-image as it was all natural lighting. I ended up choosing a dark gray color for the background color overlay, as I thought it matched the main image and could also be a good base color for other aspects such as the cover lines and the masthead. After working on my cover page, I then started on my double page for my magazine. I intended on using the same color overlay for my cover, article, and contents page, which is dark gray. For the headline, I used the font Arthead Free from DaFont, and used Blank River for the words Best New along with this. I also rasterized the Best New text and made it yellow with the color fill-in tool. I also added a white glow to the text by using the outer glow function. Again for the images, I used a camera and a tripod, and also used a regular lamp as lighting. I took full body shots and erased the background using the eraser tool and the magic eraser tool. The person had actually looked very disproportionate when I took the photo, so I edited his legs to look longer and for his hands to be smaller, making the body proportions more realistic to a paparazzi photo. For the masthead, I just used the rectangle and triangle tools to create this white ribbon to make the film X stand out. For the main article, I chose a simplistic sans serif font to seem cleaner, more modern, and more elegant, which was Geneva. I tried to make each of the paragraphs the same size and length, so it would maintain the elegant look of the article page. I decided to place the pull quote in the middle of the 4 paragraphs and used the font Vivas. The final piece of coursework for my foundation portfolio was the contents page for my magazine. I tried to make a lot of the text on the contents page match text from other parts of my coursework, such as the cover page and article page. For the words contents, I decided to use the SF Hollywood Hills font to match the main cover line on the cover page. I also think it fits well with the film genre of the magazine. I at first placed the letters going down on the left side, but then moved them to have them at the top with a light gray banner and a black rectangular rim. I used the same font for the regular and featured titles for the page numbers. I made the page numbers in the same font as the main cover line for the article page, which was Arthead free, and also used the line tool to make lines underneath each of the numbers. I tried to make the page number text 1 line of the title text and 2 lines of the subtext, so all the page number contents would be around the same size. I used different fonts for the title and subtext as well, so that it's clear which one is which. I used the rectangular tool to make the old film slide, and made squares and rounded off the sides to make the free spaces. I used this as an image holder. I then placed my self-taken images into the free spaces and slightly adjusted them using the crop tool. All of my images were taken by a tripod and camera, like the 2 other pieces of my coursework, and natural lighting was also used, therefore there were no other sources of light used to take the image.